Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your leadership in holding this hearing as well. I first request unanimous consent to have a statement from David Kramer, the Executive Director at the George W. Bush Presidential Center, entered into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Following the U.S. withdrawal, Afghanistan is no better off today than when the United States first entered. After 20 years of blood and treasure, any progress made has been erased. This administration's deadly and chaotic withdrawal was ill-conceived from the very start. There were no plans to ensure enduring peace or to support the Afghan people. And now, under the administration's failed policies, Afghanistan continues to deteriorate every day. The Taliban are terrorists, even though they want us to take them off the list. Afghanistan continues to deteriorate every day. And contrary to what many in this administration think, they are no, quote, moderate, unquote, Taliban members. It appears the administration believes that befriending the Taliban, that they can influence their behavior. Yet the Taliban's own action has proved they cannot. Today, Afghan women and girls are worse off at any point since the United States withdrawal. In fact, worse, the 20-year-olds who never lived under Sharia law are now under that dark cloud, that dark veil. They're barred from public places. They're not allowed to travel outside of their homes without a male chaperone. And Afghanistan is the only country in the world where girls are banned from receiving an education above the 6th grade level. Taliban are funding, equipping, and providing safe haven to terrorist groups, including al-Qaeda. The $7 billion of military equipment left behind during the withdrawal is sold by the Taliban and used by terror groups and other American adversaries around the world. Mr. Zawahiri, the then leader of al-Qaeda, was living in downtown Kabul under the protection of the leader of the Haqqani network, who is now the Taliban's Minister of the Interior, or in other words, the Minister of Security, is now the Haqqani network leader who harbored the #2 deputy to Osama bin Laden. You can't make this up. The connection is real, and you can't change the truth. Facts are stubborn things. Currently, at least 6 million Americans are held captive by the Taliban. There are more Americans detained by the Taliban right now than at any point in the last 2 years. And one of those Americans is Ryan Corbett, whose wife Anna testified before this committee last November. He's been captive in Afghanistan since August 2022. Right now, the Taliban is hunting down our Afghan allies, partners, using our biometrics door to door, checking their fingerprints. They torture them, they kill them with the same weapons that this administration left behind for their use to murder. And now the Taliban are benefiting more than ever from U.S. taxpayer dollars, which they steal from NGOs to enrich their fighters and solidify their power. The Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, more commonly known as SIGAR, testified to the committee in November of last year that the Taliban is, quote, stealing and benefiting from humanitarian aid, that they're demanding payoffs from NGOs. They will not hire women. They are diverting aid favorable to beneficiaries such as their own fighters. They are creating fake NGOs in order to receive humanitarian aid. They are embedding Taliban intelligence officials within UN agencies. Obviously, by failing to treat the Taliban as a threat they are, this administration has not disengaged their malign activity. Instead, they have emboldened them. For example, this administration has repeatedly voted at the UN to grant travel ban waivers to sanctioned Taliban members. And all the while, the administration is hiding from accountability. SIGAR also testified the State Department is the least cooperative they have ever engaged with since the establishment of their office in 2008. That's quite a statement. And according to SIGAR, the State Department has failed to respond to at least 30 outstanding requests for information. Some of those have been pending for over a year. This is simply unacceptable. It's time for the administration to reevaluate their policy priorities, which have clearly achieved so little in Afghanistan. They need to focus on developing a strategy that will ensure the U.S. is not supporting the Taliban, but rather innocent Afghans. Anything less sends a failure of American leadership. We want to help the people of Afghanistan. Half of them are at the poverty level, starving, but we don't want to fund the Taliban either. And it's the job of this committee to provide the oversight to ensure, and SIGAR as well, to ensure that this does not happen in the future. And let me just say, with respect to the chairman's words, the saddest thing is the women left behind under the veiled dark cloud of Sharia law, but also the fact that guess who's in Afghanistan today? China. They're exploiting the rare earth minerals, and I wouldn't be surprised if one day we woke up and guess who's going to take over Bagram Air Base, that was a crown jewel of our ISR capability for that region that we turned over to the Taliban. I wouldn't be surprised, Mr. Chairman, if one day we woke up and we find the CCP operating that precious jewel that we had in Afghanistan, Bagram Air Base. And with that, I yield back.